All right. Catherine has over 25 years in event fundraising and budgeting for small and large private sector businesses, from a baked potato cart to a multi-million-dollar pop-up art gallery business for corporate clients and nonprofits. She loves the unique challenges of balancing grant funding with earned income and donor funding in line items in nonprofit management. Catherine joins us from Portland, Oregon, and the Portland Fruit Tree Project, where she's the community engagement manager. Budgeting for self-sufficient outside of grant funding has for the past 2 years, the Portland Fruit Tree Project, including providing community engagement in unique and fun ways. And we've been grateful to see our hunch that giving folks happy and engaging experiences has in fact led to new and repeat donors and monetary support in new ways. All right, I'm going to turn it to you, Catherine.
Awesome. Hey, everybody, you can hear me just one more time? Everybody can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I so wish I was there spooning Kathy at night, but I'm stuck in Portland. I'm sure
too.
I do wish I was there. I had so much fun last year and made so many good connections, and including a connection that landed us an AmeriCorps volunteer, which is very valuable for our tiny team. We did lose our second AmeriCorps volunteer yesterday due to federal cuts. So I am in the same boat as many of you that may have had that happen this week, but we are holding on to the one that we got through Harvest Against Hunger, which is a connection I made at last year's symposium. So appreciate having Owen still steady on our team. Yes, so hi. So I have things to say about creating joyful community, but I just want to say that coming into Portland Fruit Tree Project, when I did, we expected some funding. Our executive director, Heather, expected some funding to come through. So about 2 years ago when I joined, we hit the ground running. That funding did not come through. And I was like, okay, here we are. We've got to do earned income events. And so what I presented last year at the symposium, I think maybe I should have had a slide about for this year. We made the world's largest charcuterie board with gleaned fruits and donated everything. We made a 500-foot Guinness World Book record breaking board. We needed to make the money. And so it was like, how are we going to make this money? Because otherwise we can't pay ourselves. We can't do this. So I hit the ground running with that. It was a huge lift for the team. Kathy helped, everybody helped. We had $60,000 of donated product because we said, look how much fun this is going to be, everybody. We didn't say, oh shit, we're going out of business. I watch my mouth. We said, oh my gosh, we're going to have so much fun. And I kept all that stress inside of my body. And then after the event, I was sick for about 6 weeks. So that's how these things, like the reality of this stuff is, it's different than a slideshow, right? Like we have the stress of keeping our nonprofits, the things we hold dear, the things we want to share with community, our organizations, our passion for gleaning, we keep that all close and we want the success. And this is just another mechanism to share with you guys some of my ideas around creating some success. And I'm always available by email at catherine@portlandfruit.org if you want to talk about any of this more, or you want to brainstorm about your own organization, because I do have 25 years of experience doing silly stuff, which has come in really handy here. So, and it seems to be working. So here's where we are. Let's see. So Portland Fruit Tree Project, what do? We do tree care, food sharing, education, preservation, and preservation classes, which have been really popular. People love them. So we just keep doing those every 2 weeks at this point. We're preserving fruit from last season. But the most of what we're known for in Portland is the abundant harvest, the gleaning that we do. And so we harvest food that would otherwise go to waste in people's backyards and community orchards, weird parking lot trees. They're all over the place in Portland. I mean, fruit is just falling from the sky and people are stepping over it to go pay exorbitant prices at the grocery store. And so we see the fruit as a mechanism for creating a sharing economy and creating community, as I know so many of you feel the same way about food that I do. So I don't need to belabor that point, but the fruit is like the beginning point, and then people know each other, and then people are sharing, hand-me-downs with each other on the block because they all harvested the pear tree together. And that's where we love to see our intersection with creating community joy really come into play. So we really needed to make money. And of course, we all know there's all this blah-de-blah information on the internet about creating joyful experiences for donors so that they connect with your brand. Brand marketing is my background. I worked for like Hello Kitty for a long time. So like a lot of that kind of stuff, it makes sense to me, right? If people are connected and they feel that feeling that we feel even a little bit, you know, as the principals who like guard and steward this idea of the sharing economy, if they can just feel a little bit of it, how do we get that into their minds so that they start being excited to see us? And so, you know, this is the like Cosmic, I go to their classes and I'm like, yeah, I get it, you know, but where does this fit into a little brand like Portland Fruit Tree Project, right? Where do we connect with people where they're at all over Portland and give them a little bit of that spark that we have for gleaning and sharing? The first thing we did was killed this bummer of a brand, this giant apple tree shading these tiny houses. What a bummer. So we moved to a more joyful branding. Heather killed it. She got a grant through, she won a contest for a rebrand, probably because the old one was such a bummer. So they were like, we'll help them. So they did a rebrand for us for free. So those things, you know, finding things for free is my fave, right? Because I love finding fruit for free. So everything else for free sounds good too. So we don't pay for a lot of what we get. We currently have an American Marketing Association grant. We apply for everything, Heather and I. And then we're always like, oh, we didn't get 5, but the 6th thing we did get. So yeah, we are gleaning all over the place. So I encourage everybody else to take your gleaning sensibility and apply that all over the place. So with our harvest program, obviously people already like harvesting, but we needed younger folks to come harvest. We have a lot of like retired folks that we adore and love. And we also need the action of like the younger folks to really get the fruit in from the orchards. We are now managing quite a few orchards and partially managing other city-owned orchards just to like eye roll, do them a favor, I guess, at this point. Someday we'll get paid for that. But we have a lot of fruit and we need a lot of people to bring it in. So we're calling our harvest, you know, work parties more and more. We're reaching out to corporate groups and we're asking them to pay to come harvest. And we were like, fingers crossed, maybe some of them will see that as an opportunity. And it turns out that that's true. So I encourage you to package your gleaning into something that you can maybe sell, right, to people. Like we've got the folks here in Portland, you know, from Intel and Nike, the big ones, they have programs where they want to have their folks engaged with community and they pay for that time. So we have PGE, Intel, Nike pretty regularly. And then we've got some smaller business we're cultivating with some other groups. And we want that to grow more and more. This idea that like harvesting together is a saleable activity and is a work party. We're going to start doing, I'm applying for grants for a speaker because I'm not going to pay for that either. And then we're going to start adding themes, like think about skate night, right? At your like local skating rink. So we're just going to sort of steal that idea and do like David Bowie harvest, emo goth harvest, Swift versus Lizzo harvest. And we're seeing a ton of young people coming out now that we are bringing this idea of like, you know, not boohoo wasted fruit, but like abundance that we are sharing is the language that we're using. And that's, it's working. So here's some of the ways that is working. Let's see, next slide.
Catherine, as you move to your next slide, can you put it in slideshow mode so we can see everything a
Oh,
little
sure,
bit?
sure. Sorry. Let me see.
That's all good.
Is that better?
Yeah. Yes.
Yay! Okay. Oh yeah, those words must be so small. Sorry, guys. Those
They were
green
a little
bottle
small.
words.
They're much better now. Thank you.
Okay. So we found this green bottle. We didn't make this. You may have seen this. We found this green bottle online and we were like, people can understand this graphic. So Portland Fruit Tree Project was harvesting for free and people were like, you're welcome for these moldy apples. And we're like, I'm not sure if that's working. So we are now prioritizing the fruit that is donatable. We are turning people away for things that we're just going to have to deal with a half compost, half donatable situation. We're instead being very assertive about offering those people tree care, which is a paid service from us, right? Let's get your trees into great shape so that this fruit can be shared with community. Not in like a shaming way, but like in a helpful way. And we have been using this green bottle for letting people know what they should be expecting to donate to an organization like ours, who's going to bring 5 to 10 people out to their property and a van and the gas that takes and all of the supplies and the ladders. And we're going to get that fruit immediately out to community and not let it go to waste. And that's a valuable thing that we're adding. Not thank you for the free fruit, but you're welcome for the help. So switching gears there had everybody on the team a little nervous about how that would apply to harvest, since they had always been free. We've gotten no pushback. It's been butter, not a problem. So people get that, and they have been paying according to that green bottle scale. So if you want that graphic, just search green bottle sliding scale. I also use that graphic in my ticketing. So if I'm like hosting a preservation class at a kitchen or a bee house making class at the local rebuilding center, whatever I'm doing, I put that green bottle up and I have a couple different price tiers, and people are doing it. It hasn't been a problem at all. People are falling into the category that makes sense for them and donating accordingly for the joy of having the experience together. The other thing we do, tree care. So to add some whimsy and joy to this, and to also encourage people to understand what's going on around them, last year we started a text for fruit program, and we asked people for their phone numbers and we text them. And I was like, I don't know if anyone will give us their phone numbers. But we are up to 575 subscribers without any paid advertising, for people that want to have a weekly text about what is growing around you. Look up, or look down, depending, but like what's around you, how do you use it? So this week's text was all about foraging, which is popular. We get a lot of hits when we do a foraging one. So thank goodness for our new tree care orchard manager, because she loves this program and I couldn't do all this content by myself. So thank goodness for Rodra joining our team and helping with some of that, because she's very witchy. So people love that foraging content. So this week was all like dandelion jelly freezer jam with this purple flower that I don't even know how to name. She knows these things. So leaning on her for some of that has been truly awesome. There's somebody on your team that can do a thing. If you have an idea, she happens to be a paid employee, but before she was doing it, it was actually a volunteer that was doing it, that was creating the text program. And all the texts, they feed back to a blog on our website. So we're driving traffic directly to the website. We get a lot of click-throughs from this. And these are the people that are really engaging with our mission, that want to text from us once a week, right? So now we have like this smaller pool of people that we know we want to cultivate differently. I'm not sure how we'll move them, but we know they're there and they're showing up. So we'll see, what comes of it. But it is growing, and now it is a sponsorable program. And so I am asking like nurseries and tree care folks to sponsor it. And then we are driving traffic to their businesses with 1 or 2 texts a year. And yeah, we do get some folks that opt out of the text when they see a business highlighted, because they were like, oh, now this is businessy. It's not just a free thing. But like 3 every time we hit one of those. So for the most part, people get it. And that's Rodra. She's the best. So she personalizes this stuff. So it ends up on our blog there at Portland Fruit Tree Project. And then a couple times a year, we can say, hey guys, also it's time for tree care. And people go, oh, it's time for tree care. Okay, thanks for letting me know. And we see a huge push into, because they also tell their friends, they reshare. We encourage folks to reshare, and people seem to be doing that. And we're seeing a pretty big uptick in tree care. The other thing we are up to is, again, we apply for everything. So I applied for a farm to table grant. Doesn't quite fit our model, right? Orchard to table grant is how I wrote it, to have teenagers through the SNAP Ed program. I saw that they were giving out money with a lot of zeros attached to it, 5 zeros. 6 digits total. Yeah, $100,000 grants for farm to table programming direct to teenagers. And Heather and I talked about it. We're like, we can do it. So we did it. They just quit. The program just ended last week. It was a lot. 13 teenagers. Oh my gosh. They learned a lot. They were so cute out in community. They were the best marketing strategy that I didn't think of, right? That we got that grant and then had them out in community, just being their silly selves, was really delightful for people. I will not apply for it again this term. Maybe in 2 years, we'll do that again. But overall, it was good for us. And, you don't move forward if you don't try things. So the teenagers were a great time, and donors over the Give Guide season, which in Portland in December, we have a particular holiday giving campaign in Portland for nonprofits that our local paper does. We saw a lot of Give Guide donations directly from people that were saying, we love this teenager program. So we will need to figure out how to do it again. I think we'll need to figure out how to build more staff time into it. It was, they didn't, teenagers don't know how to use Google Calendar. They don't know how to get on Slack. They don't know how to join your Zoom call. They don't know how to ride TriMet. So we had a lot of fun, and it's over now. Let's see. So, oh wait, oh yeah, spring break camp. This was the culmination of the teenager program. So this was built into the teenager program that, oh my God, I'm wearing the same outfit, you guys. That's ridiculous. Okay, so they had a spring break camp where they taught younger kids what they had learned. So we had them out at our Park Rose Orchard, 20 kiddos that were SNAP Ed. So that's the food card in Portland, the SNAP Ed kiddos from those families. So these were families that really needed and appreciated this care. There were lots of tears from parents that we were able to offer this for free. What a joy to take that burden off parents for the week. And the teenagers came through and they had a curriculum every day. Some of them did better than others. And we played some orchard tag in the meanwhile, because there's always fun things to do in the orchard, but it was great. It was great. And again, we don't have to do it every year. We can pick and choose. So we probably won't do that again, because I think next year I'll do the largest charcuterie board again. So I'm finding the balance of what our team can support. Can't do it all. Community orchards. So last year, obviously these orchards are all over in Portland, in varying states of disarray. The ones we've been managing for a couple years, we're seeing really good fruit last year, which is pretty freaking cool, because trees are so good at doing their jobs if you just pay attention and seasonally do the couple of things that they require of us. So it's been really neat to see these orchards go from, 50 pounds of mothy apples, and then 2 years later, we're looking forward to thousands of pounds from some of those same orchards, just with soil augmentation and pruning. And we're doing a big thinning program this year to thin the fruit as it comes in. So that's exciting, because that'll make better fruit. And people are showing up to do that work because, again, looks like fun now. It looks like a fun time. So last year we started community cider presses in the spaces because we were dealing with so many buggy apples. Might as well make some high protein apple cider. So we it's not vegan. So it was good to get folks in the orchard, because then also we're explaining what's happening as we're doing that. So it's an education experience, but people are just thrilled to see these old fashioned cider presses. And we found that when we reached out to community, people had them in their garages. We're not paying for these, right? We ended up buying one with a grant for this year, a little bit of a higher powered one to do some volume, but community had these. So we're not renting them. We're not paying for the space. We're not paying for different insurance. I think there's a lot of silliness around insurance, if anybody wants to talk to me about that sometime, but it's just get out there and do it. And so we are doing that, and a Mason Bee stewardship program. Those are the two things that have really risen to the top as continuing content that I will do every year, because they are directly mission aligned and bring people into the fold that would not otherwise just decide to come join an organization to do gleaning. We're seeing folks from all across the spectrum in Portland that want to engage with that cider press content. Like 400 people showed up to do a cider press at the community center that we paid for no advertising for. Of course, it was free. So, you know, free is good. But this year we're going to get some sponsorships on that and, you know, hire a band and make it even more fun. So here's some pictures of a cider press in an orchard. Super cute. And the news is there covering it. Press releases are good. And then these nice ladies making their mason bee house, they argued the whole time. I loved them. They were super funny. I'm not sure if they're a couple or they're sisters or what the deal was, but these two could not agree on a thing, but they did get their bee house built, which was great. And so finding joy all over the place with what's wasted, right? So I was like, how do we get some eyes on us in a different way? So 2 years ago, I started the Can't Beat 'em, Eat 'em blackberry harvest, and people would chime in on social media or email us directly where blackberry is that's not being sprayed, right? Because a lot of this blackberry is not safe to eat. So that's another thing to let people know that when they're walking with their kids in our parks and rec spaces, that's not safe fruit. So part of the campaign is about what is not safe and where to find safe fruit and how to know that difference, and how to be careful and mindful of like what your kids are eating off the bushes, because they spray with some heavy duty, nasty stuff. Portland Parks and Rec, shout out to them. So we took a bunch of the blackberry cane to, and this was Heather's idea, not my idea, but to the elephants up at the zoo, because they have a browse program at our zoo where if it's safe browse material for the animals, they'll use it to enrich their diets. So people just love that element. So we did that the last 2 years. We did an Earth Day event last year. 300 people showed up for that. And that was a sponsorable endeavor, but it was okay. You know, it's not as good as the cider presses, the bee content, the plant sales, this Can't Beat 'em program. So we tried it, the Earth Day thing. It was successful, you know, maybe $5,000 of sponsorship, $4,000 of income, but it felt like a reach. It didn't feel exactly aligned with our mission. It felt like we were kind of pushing out from the mission. So we're going to stick with that other more mission-centric content, but it is something that we tried. Let's see. And then another event we hosted last year, we did an orchard to table dinner, which is not a new concept for a lot of you guys, right? A lot of us do like charity and benefit dinners. What I want to point out is that we weren't going to make payroll in July of last year. And so we hosted this dinner. Shout out to Kathy for being the check-in person. We hosted this dinner in order to make payroll, right? That had me like this. But I'm happy to say that brought in, you know, as those dinners do, those fancy pants dinners brought in some good repeating donors that joined our like Fruit Buds program, our monthly donor program, and that gave a lot during the last giving season. Stuff like this reaches a different audience. Finding the right chef was really fun because we have a chef in town. He's the foraging chef. He was actually foraging figs in the middle of the night a couple years ago and was held up at gunpoint and carjacked. I kid you not. And so I reached out to him on Instagram and was like, okay, when you recover from that, we've got to talk because you're definitely our people. So, and he was like, absolutely. So finding your people is so important, not just, you know, there's a lot of chefs that wouldn't give us the time of day for something like this, wouldn't show up in an orchard and make food like this from gleaned fruit. And he's the right person for that. And it helps his brand. So the reciprocity there was worth it, but telling him, you know, hey, we got to do this in 2 months because we're not going to make payroll. He was like, got it. I run a restaurant. I understand that. I've been in that position before. I get it. So let's hustle and let's do it. So we did. We'll do it again this year. I'm pleased to say we're in a much better financial position this year than we were last year, despite some of the federal cut stuff. Our donor base and our local grant funding is pretty solid this year. So we're in a good spot. So we'll be able to do the dinner from a more comfortable, calmer place, which will be nice for me. community events we glom onto. I'm sorry, my text isn't quite lining up once it's PDF'd. That's interesting because it was doing it before, but I want to point out that getting yourself into community events, tabling, of course, I'm sure so many of your organizations are at farmers markets, are at community events, are tabling at parks and rec nights and places like that. I just want to encourage you to keep your gleaning mentality, right? The Belmont Street Fair says it costs $400 to be there for the weekend. No, just keep asking. And also, what can you give them? Like, they're selling a street fair that's mostly vendors, right? So you're walking through and you're just getting hit with earring sales and necklace sales and bracelet sales and food sales. Portland Fruit Tree Project can come in and paint rocks, which is free because I can get rocks for free and paint markers with a donation from Dick Blick down the street. So what can we provide? So I go to these tabling events and I say, I go to these street fairs and people that create community events that seem like the right alignment for us. And I say, this is what we're going to bring. Can we come for free? We'll sit by the dumpster. It doesn't matter. And we do that, and we get hundreds and hundreds of people signing up for getting excited about volunteering, talking to us while their kids are painting rocks, meeting them where they're at. So that's our model for getting into places for free. I just encourage you guys to keep your gleaning mentality as you interact with those conversations. Lots of news with all the fun things that we're doing. People want joyful content. The news stations want it. There is a service in Portland called Flash News API. If you find someone else locally that does this, I really encourage you to sign up. It's a very small fee. When I send out a press release, it sends it out to everyone. So instead of spending 5 hours of my day targeting environmental news, reporters, things, I used to have to do that with my business. I'd have to target who might pick up the content. The Flash News Wire drive just sends it to everybody. So it's done in about 20 minutes. I send out a press release. I use ChatGPT to help me with the press release. ChatGPT and I know each other enough that it knows, I know that's a controversial subject, but I do use it. I move fast and it helps me to get a press release out in 20 minutes versus 4 hours. And I do not feel that Portland Fruit Tree Project can waste 4 hours of my workday. So I do lean on that service, and I lean on ChatGPT to get those press releases out. We get a lot of pickup, and now we have reporters that'll text me, do you have anything, Catherine? We need something fun next week. Do you have anything? What's going on with you guys for Earth Day? And then they'll come cover it. So you create those personal relationships. We are in a small town in Portland, maybe different in some of the larger boroughs, but I will say when I had my business back in the day, I did have reporters that would pick up stuff in Chicago and New York, and people want fun, and you guys are fun and interesting and unique with all of your missions, and to get that out to people, they will respond. You're doing really good work, and so sharing it widely is I super encourage it. We have so many volunteers now. It's been crazy. We were like, what is happening this year? As we started to put volunteer stuff on our channels in January and February, everything was just filling up. And so when you read the data on this kind of stuff, it says volunteers first, donors second. And that's, we're seeing the volunteers are showing up. The donors are starting to show up in a bigger way, and that will happen more and more. But we are seeing all kinds of young people come out to do grandma stuff, as we call it, cottagecore. They say it's cottagecore now. That's what my son told me. He's 15. He's like, oh yeah, Mom, it's cottagecore. To do canning and preserving, basket weaving with blackberry cane, whatever we come up with that's going to make people sit in community and talk to each other, and then talk about the larger issues that we're trying to tackle around food scarcity and sharing economies here in Portland and beyond. What we're doing this year to throw some new fun stuff against the wall. How much time do I have? Okay, I'm doing okay. How much?
5.
Okay, cool. So this year, to throw some new fun stuff against the wall, we'll see what works, right? We are going to be at the Naked Bike Ride. I'm going to hand out fig leaf stickers that say it's harvest season. I think people will love that. And that will bring us some new audience members. Our local kayaktivist group that I'm already a part of. I love these guys. We block the oil ships. They can't come in our river. So I love being out with the kayaktivists, and I'm going to have them come out and do a blackberry harvest on one of the islands that's very polluted here in the river in Portland, and get some news media on why is this island polluted. It makes me very angry. So my voice starts to shake when I talk about it, but there's beautiful blackberry there. So let's go eat some fruit and also talk about why is this river suffering from this blighted area? Because that's something near and dear to my heart. And then we're working with the Village Convergence. They build fun like cob structures and things in Portland. So I'm queuing in with them instead of just buying a shed for our cargo bike we got grant funded. We're going to have a building event with somebody that knows how to do that. And that's going to get more eyes on us and more people coming to Portland Fruit Tree Project for fun and engaging community content. So here is where we are right now. We're doing pretty okay. But we are just, let's see what we have to say next year. But it seems like it's going better and better the more of the stuff that we throw against the wall and what sticks, and just scrapping stuff that doesn't. Just keep it moving forward with new and joyful and interesting content. Keep things that are completely mission aligned. Don't overburden your team by insisting that something is repeated if it's not the thing that works, or if it needs to be every 2 years, like the teenager program and the charcuterie board, because it's just too much. Those are kind of my takeaways from what we've been up to, but I am talking to you in real time, so we'll see what next month holds. Does anybody have any questions?
Before we do questions, can you stop sharing so we can see your lovely face?
Yay.
Question.
Can you hear me?
Mhm.
Could you repeat what that special service is with the press releases and stuff, the reporters that I missed?
It's Flash Newswire. It's an AP thing. I don't know if it's national or local. I should have looked at that before I mentioned it, but what I use is Flash News Alert, Flash Newswire.
Questions? Questions from Zoom? I don't see anything in the chat, but we'll give the Zoom chat folks a second to type anything.
Not a question, but shout out to you, Catherine. So what an amazing individual to be part of a gleaning organization. Catherine embodies this enthusiasm. She calls it the gleaning mentality. I call it her amazing brilliance. And we have coffee once a month and we talk about some of these, what crazy idea can we come up with next? The preserving classes. And so I'm going to hit you up when I'm back home and we can take a look at those, how to take our excess glassware and make vases with napkins and decoupage. So I'm all,
We're gonna have so much fun.
I'm all over it. Love you.
And
Love
Catherine,
you too, Kathy. Thanks for having me, everybody. That's my email. Reach out to me anytime. I'm happy to talk through silly ideas and financial stuff with anybody that wants to chat.
thank you, Catherine. She's Catherine at portlandfruit.org.
Have
Thank
fun,
you.
everybody.